I won't. Thank you very much for that, Ryan. It is now 8 o'clock. As we take a look at the stories leading the headlines on this Thursday morning, police still on the hunt for two suspects in an early morning stabbing. Officers called to 100th Street and 105th Avenue just before 5 o'clock. Witnesses say a person was knifed in the back. That victim was rushed to hospital, but there's been no word yet on an updated condition status. The tactical team then came in. They're now looking for a man and woman who fled the scene. One day after nurses raised concerns over Ebola preparedness in Alberta, our chief medical health officer insists the province is ready to cope with any potential outbreak. Dr. James Talbot says training continues to ensure that staff is prepared to deal with possible cases. A 24-hour hotline has been set up to answer frontline concerns workers might have as well. Meanwhile, anyone exhibiting Ebola symptoms is being told to stay away from hospitals. Instead, they're being urged to call the HealthLink line first.
It's exactly because of that possibility that both Alberta Health and Alberta Health Services started work throughout the summer. We're trying to reduce the risk as close as possible as we can to zero. And that's why we're suggesting that they call HealthLink rather than presenting into a crowded clinic.
Over the weekend, Alberta became one of the few provinces to set up an Ebola testing lab. Samples will be sent to the national lab in Winnipeg for confirmation. A count is underway this morning of Edmontonians without a place to call home. Count is done every 2 years. It gives a snapshot of the homeless community in our city. Also helps officials monitor changes and trends in the population. There were nearly 2,200 people without homes in 2012. 223 of those were children. Those numbers down 30% from the highest number counted back in 2008. About 300 volunteers expected to help with the count today. Another blow to Edmonton's drug fronts. Police raiding 2 storage lockers in the West End. They seized 30 kilograms of hash with a street value of $600,000. Craig Mathiasen has been charged with 4 drug-related offenses. It is the 4th major drug bust in our city over the past 5 months, and cops admit size matters.
We try to pick and choose the most significant targets and the most significant files that will impact the community. I really do believe that this is probably going to get moved out to the corners of northern Alberta, possibly.
Police believe that this hash might have been destined to be used in e-cigarettes. A worker is recovering after suffering burns to his hands when an empty crude oil tank caught fire in Hardisty. 2 employees were cleaning the tank at a Husky Energy terminal when it caught fire on Wednesday. The injured worker brought here to hospital in Edmonton. The facility was evacuated and has been temporarily shut down. Alberta Occupational Health and Safety now investigating. Well, just 1 month into his tenure, Health Minister Stephen Mandel subjected to his first protest. Health Sciences Association of Alberta gathering outside Mandel's office Wednesday. They say the province unexpectedly halted contract talks last week. The 2 sides remain at odds over everything from wages to time off. The union says the province is failing to appreciate the efforts of these frontline soldiers.
They had better get a contract settled with these workers who do extremely important, extremely critical and often dangerous, especially in this day of Ebola, work for Albertans, and they deserve to be compensated appropriately.
The union represents about 17,000 medical workers. Well, the NDP says momentum is building for the party heading into this weekend's leadership vote. Officials say memberships have doubled over the past few months. They believe it is spurred by that leadership race, along with the party's ability to connect with Albertans on key issues. Now, Leader Brian Mason steps down this weekend, and one of David Egan, Rachel Notley, and Rod Loyola will replace him.
The ill fortunes of the PCs, the Liberals are in decline. There are a lot of new voters coming into this province, and a lot of people looking for a new home, and they like the values that New Democrats hold, and they identify with them.
The leadership vote happens this Saturday at Sutton Place Hotel here in our city. Well, Edmontonians have a chance to voice their concerns with the Oilers' future home. City Hall, home to an arena open house on Wednesday. Parking, transportation, and traffic among the issues raised by those in attendance. But for many here, the increased amenities outweigh any possible negatives.
People are excited about what this arena is going to be all about, like the type of entertainment options that people will have at the arena. We know it's the home of the Oilers and the Oil Kings, but people are asking, what other types of concerts, of shows, of acts, of sporting events are going to be hosted at Rogers Place.
The arena is on schedule and set to open in the fall of 2016. Well, a storyteller extraordinaire from our city, among the most honored in Alberta. Tony Cashman receiving the Alberta Order of Excellence. Storyteller started in radio and moved on to become a playwright and historian. Now, Cashman doesn't use a computer or cell phone. Instead, he found inspiration in a more traditional form of technology.
13 years I was a historian for Alberta Government Telephones. And the way that communication started on a single line, strung on fence posts, and now in telephone poles, and telephone poles have completely disappeared. It's all transmitted, through space.
Reinhard Muhlenfeld, a philanthropist and businessman from our city, was the other Edmontonian honored at yesterday's ceremony.